So, welcome to Satsang. I assume you hear me well. Yeah, is the sound good?
It's fine. Yes.
Okay. Hello, Nada. Thank you. Okay.
Picture's good too.
Okay. Good. Okay. Hey, Isaac. Hello, Isaac. Okay. Well, as you know, if you have any questions, you can speak them or you can pose them by writing them in the chat box. Most of you already know that, just in case. And so just to say a few introductory words, just to set the tone. So this life, what we refer to as our life or life in general, is a very wondrous thing, very mysterious, and it calls us to inquire. That's, of course, not true of everyone, but there is that invitation to wonder, to contemplate, to explore, to ask, to inquire into what is it, what is going on. Of course, that's a beautiful option. Another option is to live the world, body, mind events, to eat when you're hungry and just live what appears. But if you live what appears, what seems to be, without looking deeply into what am I, what is this manifestation, what is the truth, what is reality, you will find very quickly that you are identified as a person who is lacking, who is needing, who is seeking. And you will experience great unhappiness throughout your life and confusion throughout your life. And you will find a lot of disappointment, and you will feel that there's somebody has wronged you in creating this creation. But as soon as you start to inquire what is going on, what is the meaning of this, what is the significance, what is the goal, what is the purpose, what is this manifestation, you are opening a door into that leads you to a realm that is beyond the manifestation, that is beyond what appears, that is beyond what you perceive. So the invitation in this life is to ponder the reality, the truth, the significance of this life. And via this pondering, you are entering into the realm of the gods, the realm of the heavens. So this gathering is about this journey from the impression of being a person, of being a body-mind, of being an event in time and space, towards the formless reality, towards the infinite, invisible reality of consciousness, in religious terms, the reality of God. So the question that we pose ourselves is, what am I truly? And this question has a reverberation to it. It has a resonance to it. It has an echo to it. And the echo is, what am I? What am I? What is it? And the echo starts with a question and goes deeper and deeper into the silence. Because this question has no answer at the mind level. Everything that arises at the mind level is regurgitated, is a repetition. It's an old resonance, an old sound that is repeating itself. But the question, what am I truly, cannot be answered at the mind level because its answer is within its core. It's within its intention, which is the intention to know. And knowledge is knowledge of oneself. It is not knowing about astrology, astronomy. It's not knowledge about physics, about how the tides work, about gravity. That sort of knowledge is a phenomenal knowledge. It is a conceptual knowledge. But true knowledge, or the heart of knowledge, is to know, what am I? What am I is similar to what is it? When you ask what is it, or when you ask what am I, it's the same question. Because the I is everything. I is it. I is the reality of all what appears. In fact, everything that you know, everything that you experience it as yourself. You imagine that you're experiencing something other than yourself. But when you look closely at your experience, you will find that you're always experiencing yourself. You experience yourself as a feeling, as sensation, as perception, as thought, as imagination. Everything that you experience as yourself. The image of an external world or the image of an external realm, you experience that image within yourself, as yourself. It is not outside of yourself that the image or that the perception arises. So the contemplation of what am I truly is a contemplation that gets wider and wider and deeper and deeper. And the more you contemplate that question, the more you will find that it is touching everything and everyone. It's touching, there is nothing that is not touched by that question. So welcome to Satsang, and I invite whatever questions you may have. So Ananda, you're right. Regarding living and dying, I'm realizing that non-attachment has become a reality for me. Conditioning would say, seriously? Transiency is perfectly okay with you? It's interesting territory with a sense of refreshing freedom. In previous generations at our age, mid-60s, it was time to become a renunciate, to live in a hut in the backyard, perhaps, simply contemplating the self, and fading out. Somehow there is a movement within me into this direction, but I still need a work-related income. Ananda, you are this hut. Everything refers to this. You can find the wholeness, the contemplation, the love, the peace at and as the core of your being. We have a lot of assumptions uh, we have a lot of assumptions about work and this body mind, how it needs to operate in the world.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, most of our assumptions are downloads
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
from ancient times, and it's passed on and on. And within that download, there is the belief and the sense of separation.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that download, we experience that there is some entity that needs to do something to survive,
Mm-hmm.
and that it needs to do something in order to uh, take care of the body mind.
Mm-hmm.
And what we fail to realize is an experience, is God's grace. And the infinite bounty of the divine bounty, the infinite bounty of the cosmos, of the universe, of God, the infinite bounty eludes us because we are busy
Mm-hmm.
at the mind level with a relationship, a
Mm-hmm.
personal relationship between me as a person, as a body mind,
Mm-hmm.
and the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so there isn't a fluidity between quote unquote work
Mm-hmm.
and contemplation. It's
Mm-hmm.
as if contemplation is one thing, and working, cooking, driving, whatever we do is something else. In fact, there is no discontinuity. There isn't a realm of contemplation and another realm of living in the world. Although we may feel, and it seems to be very real for us, that there are two different realms, what we fail to realize is that our experience of that separation has a root cause in it. And we have to, rather than maintain this separation in our belief and believing our feelings, we can ask, what is it that is feeling those feelings? Because in our experience, there are certain sensations, certain thoughts that arise. But what is it that grasps them, that holds them? What is it that looks at them as if they are defining the reality of consciousness, my reality?
Right.
What is it that does that? And when you look at that question, you will find just thought. That in fact, you are believing the thought, and therefore you're also experiencing the sensation and the feeling that there is a better place for you and a better activity from you and a better thing for you to do than what you are doing. Now, in fact, there may be something better for you to do, and there may be some better realm for you to be in. But the realm that you are experiencing right now, that is where your invitation is. That is where you are being invited to contemplate.
Right.
And soon as you undertake the contemplation where you are, that better realm arises to you, becomes your experience. While when you believe that in fact there is a better situation, a better place than where you are at, or a better activity that you should be doing than what you are doing, at that moment, you are going to be experiencing the sense of separation, and you are going to be trying to go to that better place, or to make that move, which is just a current experience of some insufficiency and something not correct right now, not right now.
Right.
With the hope and the promise that it will get better if I go to a hut, or if I go to a cave, or if I had, etc. If I did not have to take care of working and making a living. So there is a postponement of peace and happiness that we buy into, while our current experience is not contemplated, not being contemplated. And thus the possible revelation that there is nothing happening, nothing that needs to happen, nothing that I need to do, that all doing is done.
Mm-hmm.
And resting in the peace and as the peace is not resting in a hut or in a ashram or in a meditation center, etc. It is not that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Resting as the self has complete independence and freedom from time and space.
Mm-hmm.
Time and space impressions
Mm-hmm.
are like dreamlike.
Mm-hmm.
They arise in you, for you, like dreams arise for you. And the virus in this dream is the belief and the feeling that I am a character in the dream. We don't actually realize that we are a character in the dream, but there is the impression that I am a real character, that there is a reality to some character.
Uh-huh.
The reality of this character, when you look at it, you will find thoughts and you will find some storylines and memories, impressions, bodily sensations. You will find a dream realm, really, because
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the entire experience is a dream experience.
Mm-hmm.
Like right now, this is a dream experience.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality of this dream experience is invisible. It's formless. The reality
You know,
of
the reality which is behind it, you mean, is invisible. The reality with the reality is invisible. I mean, and the
yes,
dream is visible.
yes.
I think
If you contemplate that in this very moment,
mm,
there is a perception,
mm-hmm.
but there is also the invisible perceiver simultaneously.
Mm-hmm.
There is a
Mm-hmm.
perception and there is the invisible perceiving of the perception. There is the known and there is knowingness.
Mm-hmm.
And knowingness is invisible. The known
Mm-hmm.
is visible. But first it's important to understand that experientially, I mean, and even to understand it, within your reason. And if you look at your experience, you will find that there is the visible and there is also the knowingness, that which the awareness, which is not visible, but yet it is. You cannot deny awareness.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look closer, I mean, now taking it a step further, when you look closer at the visible, which seems to be sort of a separate thing, there is the visible,
Mm-hmm.
part A, and there is the knowingness, awareness, which is part B.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at the visible and awareness, and you contemplate their relationship, you find that they are intimate, that what is
Mm-hmm.
known, what is known has a substance of what is known is the
Mm-hmm.
knowingness. You know that
Yeah.
formless. The form is formlessness, and
Mm-hmm.
formlessness is form. You will find that there is zero distance between your perception and yourself, meaning
Mm-hmm.
between perception and the knowingness of the perception. So it's like your night dream is made out of yourself. So where am I to go? What am I? If I am a character in the dream, if I'm a character in the dream, then I'm going from place A to place B to place C. I am in place A, but I think that it's better for me to travel to place B, so I travel to place B as a dream character. But the awareness, beingness, doesn't travel. Like what appears on the screen, the images, for example, of a train that's appearing on the screen, the train is leaving the station and is heading to to another village. And so there is the impression of a movement, while in fact the screen is nothing is happening. There is no actual journey. This is why I speak of the spiritual journey as the stepless step, the gateless gate. It's a journey that you take without taking any step. So it's that sort of journey where you awaken to the eternity and the infinity of presence, of beingness. So the impression...
Can I ask something right here? Formless, when you say form and formlessness are really the same, do you mean to say when you take a journey, there's a certain substantialness to the experience anyway? You know, the train gets rolling and you have breakfast and all that. But it is like, also it's like an image on the screen at the same time. So I'm not sure.
I didn't hear your question.
It's almost like you're saying there's really no form. There's really no form there. It's just an appearance of form.
Yes, a form, a form, it only refers to its reality. So, because a form has as its substance or has its reality. So the question about the form is not just what is the form, but what is its reality. So when you contemplate the reality of any form, when we say form, we're really referring to perceptions, thoughts, or sensations. Because all what we experience falls in these categories of perception, a thought, or bodily sensation. So the form refers to its reality. So when we ask ourselves, what is the reality of the form, we come to consciousness. Because the form refers to its knowingness, to the knowingness of the form. Like perception refers to the knowingness of the perception, because in the absence of the knowingness of the perception, there is no perception.
Yeah, the dream analogy really works here at the moment. I'm just totally works for that. Yeah.
Yes. When you ask yourself, what is the reality of the pink flying elephant in your dream? You will find that, it's the dreamer, because whatever is dreaming this dream. So form, the form refers to its reality, which is consciousness. And when you contemplate consciousness, you ask, well, what is the form of consciousness? You will find that consciousness has no form, has no shape, no size, no gravity, no density, no color, no smell, no gender. So the form refers to its reality, which is formless.
Yes.
It makes you, Makes you ponder. It's a contemplation. Makes you ponder.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Which is a different paradigm than the paradigm that basically says form has an existence that is outside of consciousness, which we
Yes.
call the material realm.
Right.
When we say that, okay, form has a reality, which is its material reality, uh, that's a different paradigm. But we can look at that too, because this is the main download. This is
Hmm.
the download that now is pervading humanity.
Right.
So when you ask yourself, well, okay, so there is an external reality, which is a material reality. But then you ask, well, what is it that knows it? Because
Hmm.
something, that reality must be known by something.
Hmm. Hmm.
Or if it's self-knowing, then you have then the paradigm of multiple realities, because
Hmm.
then a tree knows itself, a rock knows itself, a bird knows itself, etc. And you have the paradigm of multiple realities. And if you agree to the paradigm of multiple realities, you
Hmm.
still can pose yourself the question, well, what is it that knows all this multitude of reality?
Yes.
And so in your contemplation, you come to, well, there must be this one reality that encompasses, or that all these sub-realities refer to.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that is, if you are a believer in the material realm, that in other words, that forms
Hmm.
or objects have their own external reality,
Hmm.
there is a way for you to contemplate that.
It would only be a
To
sub reality, a sub reality. I mean, a
if,
subset of the
yeah,
bigger.
the subset
Yeah.
will refer to that one reality, and then you can say, well, what is that one reality?
Hmm.
And you come back to consciousness.
You know, I'm thinking in most spiritual traditions or teachings, they have levels, and I've known for a long time there's something fishy about the idea of levels. You know, so you have the physical level. You know what I mean? The physical sheath, the intellectual sheath, and all that, and then and then the basic reality, the self. You know, like as the inner reality. But actually, all those levels are really nothing but more mental interpretation. I'm just That's coming to me while we talk, you know.
If you say there is like a material realm or physical realm,
Right.
and then there is the mental realm,
Right.
then there is the spiritual realm,
Mm-hmm.
you you can ask yourself, well, there is a material realm, but at the same time there has to be something that knows that.
Yes.
There is the 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 mental realm, is that there is an internal realm of thought, and that's separate from the physical realm
Mm-hmm.
of thoughts and contemplations, and creativity and imagery and
Mm-hmm.
memory and creativity. That realm too refers to something that knows it. A thought,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
no, perceived. A creative idea is is perceived and then is transcribed into art, into painting, or into music, or whatever. It is very subtle, but there has to be something that knows that can
Mm-hmm.
say, wow, I just had a great memory. I'm remembering, my grandmother, how she hugged me and loved me, and what she cooked for me, or whatever. Yes,
I wouldn't have survived without her.
I don't have to work with that. So that's or you're thinking about solving a problem, which is at the mental realm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're aware of these thoughts, and you can write them down. You can write down your thoughts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So when you look at those realms and you refer them to the knowingness that knows them, you find that all these realms come together
Mm-hmm.
in and as the self, in and
Mm-hmm.
as beingness. But in beingness, there are no divisions.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So the thing that makes it all problematic is an assumed self, you know, like an ego or an assumed self that's somehow in this in the play of things, you know, at the whim of physical and all that.
You can assume a self. You can assume all sorts of selves. But
Yes.
if you believe that you are a self, that
Oh,
you are in body
right.
mind, yes,
Right.
because uh, you know there are little children.
Mm-hmm.
They play with imaginary friends. You know, they have like imaginary friends, and you walk in the room and they're talking with their friends, and I don't know, they're having some play with their friends.
Mm-hmm.
They have they imagine some other self.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
see, uh, and they're imagining themselves as a player.
Right. Right.
But uh, because they're still young and playful and transparent,
Right.
it's okay. But they will feel some sadness if they lose their friend.
Right.
They say, "Oh, I lost my friend." They will feel like, you know, they lost something.
Mm-hmm.
And the more we uh, we live that way
Mm-hmm.
with these assumed, you know, friends, and the body mind develops,
Mm-hmm.
our happiness becomes more and more restricted by
Yes.
uh, all these
Yeah. Yes.
conditions and attachments and sense of missing and lacking and wanting and needing. And then we go into all the negative emotions, the anger. Why
Mm-hmm.
did you
Mm-hmm.
take my friend's shoes? Why, you know, I don't know. Why did you my friend's car? You know, etc. So the believing that I am a separate self
Yes.
is an unnecessary uh, belief, but unfortunately, we all suffer from it.
Mm-hmm.
And but we all have the opportunity
Mm-hmm.
to awaken from that.
Mm-hmm.
And there is an awakening from that that has no return. I mean, we awaken, we return, we awaken, we return. And at some point, there is an awakening
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because when you are deconstructing a structure, you take this in off, you take that strip off that. At some point, the structure, its center of the support structure, at some point, there is one piece you take off and the structure just collapses because it just was missing just one support needed to be removed, you see. In a way, it's a little bit like that,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that in your contemplation is a thinning out and a thinning out and a thinning out,
Mm-hmm.
and you keep coming back to some experiences of me and the world. But it's okay, it's okay, this going back to me and the world
Mm-hmm.
is okay, as long as we continue to look and inquire and investigate
Mm-hmm.
God's reality, the
Mm-hmm.
reality of the self, the reality of consciousness. What is it? What am I truly?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So yeah, and I just like just to bring the a little full circle to my, you know, the question about work and stuff. It's like I see what you're saying because, you know, I got this little magic calculator,
Oh,
and I lay down on the couch and I just went doing some numbers, you know, and I realized, you know, I don't have to work much at all if I don't want to.
yes.
You know, it's just,
Yeah.
do I want to travel and do different things and work hard, or do I want to, you know?
You have only really one work. which is to contemplate truth and to love God and to live your contemplation. You have to put your body, mind, your hand into God's hand. Not so much into
the calculator.
And you will find, as you put your hand in God's hand, you will find the numbers in the calculator going up and up. There is magic. Oh my God. What is that? What is that? What is going on here?
Listen to most things that you talk about, I can confirm in my own experience. This is this magic is one that I'll have to take your word on it, because I don't really know that yet. That the abundance is
Yes,
wall to wall, like the awareness.
comes to you, comes from God. But there's one condition. You have to be clear about what you love and how you live. Love truth and you live according to your love for truth, then you will see. But if you don't love truth and live the body-mind world, well, you're on the roller coaster ride. You have to worry hard, try hard, and so on. If you love truth and still you're living, you're still not so you're still living, oh, I need to worry about this and get that, and let me fight for this and fight for that. You're sort of moving, off the roller coaster ride, but you're still, riding it, but getting ready to slowing down and maybe get off.
Right.
But if you love truth, live truth, and your contemplation and your life are in conforming with each other, then you will experience the magic of life, and you will be very surprised what turns it takes.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Thank you for your questions.
Okay, well, I'm going to bow out here because I want other people to talk.
Yes.
And I wish they would put on their camera. It's nice to see people.
All right, there is a request from Ananda. Okay, cameras. Camera is here, so you can see this. Hello, Holly. So, Holly, you write, hi, Magdi. I was reading Jean Klein, beautiful Jean Klein, very nice reading recently. And one section talked about the quality of attention that can be given to thoughts and feelings in order to non-personally understand them and allow them to unfold naturally. However, I'm also pointed by you and other passages I read to direct attention at the noticer. At face value, these two ideas seem slightly at odds with each other. So, I don't have the actual quote of Jean Klein, but just from what you are writing, Holly, Jean Klein talked about the quality of attention that can be given to thoughts and feelings in order to non-personally understand them and allow them to unfold naturally, as opposed to directing attention to the noticer. There are these two pointers are not so different, but let's look at them. So Jean Klein is basically saying there is a way of looking that has a place of a neutral, aware place that is, there isn't a looker that has an intention with or she is looking at. I may be going a little bit off what unkind said, but let me go on. When you are perceiving or looking and you're interested in truth, in meaning, how am I looking? What is actually happening? Am I looking and there is a condition that I want something? And if I do, when I'm looking and there is something that I want, I may find in what I'm looking at, I may find what I want and be happy. Say, oh, I found what I want. Or I may not find what I want and I will be disappointed. So the looking has in it some condition. It has in it a personal expectation, which is the person. Because what would a person be without personal expectations? A person is nothing else but a set of personal conditions, or a set of conditions. We don't even need to say personal conditions, a set of conditions. I want this perception to be, to take on this form. I want these people to act in this and that way. I want my boss to say this and that to me. I want my partner to behave in such and such a way. So, what we are experiencing does not have that quality of peace and presence. Our perception, what we are looking at, is at time happy, at time unhappy. So we're looking as a separate self, meaning as conditions. That's what the separate self is. It's a bunch of conditions. It's just a contraction. We're experiencing a contraction, or we're experiencing, oh, I'm getting what I want, what I want, and soon after that, back to the contraction. Because what I when I got what I wanted, then I find out that it doesn't it doesn't foot the bill, and I'm back to the contraction. Or I got what I want, now I want something else. Because experiences keep changing. Now I want the red Mercedes or whatever. I want the raise in my job, etc. So there is a way of living, perceiving, experiencing that notices the inner conditions and releases them into pure presence, unconditional being. Because if you think about it, Holly, we already have a lot of experience with conditional way of living. How about we give a chance to living, experiencing whatever is arising without conditions? Sort of an inner looking that notices when there is a resistance. And not to fight with the resistance, but to allow this resistance to just join in the relaxation. Because the resistance, interestingly, you experiment with that. has no objection to relaxing in your openness, because your openness is higher than the resistance. When you invite whatever is arising into your openness, you are inviting the lower into the higher. So the lower can relax into the higher. But the, this invitation requires a certain attention to the inner processes that are occurring within you, the inner tremors, the inner vibrations that are occurring within you, and to relax them into the space. Now, there is a, a contemplation of the observer, that there is the observed and there is the observer. The observer being awareness. So, when I talked earlier about this quality of perceiving that has an interest in what is behind the scene, all the conditions, possibly the conditions that may be arising, and inviting these conditions to relax into the space. That space is awareness. That space is the screen, is the noticer. That very space is the spaciousness of awareness. So your interest in looking at what is arising arises from awareness. And it's awareness's interest in what is arising. It is not a personal interest. It is an impersonal interest. It is an interest that's arising out of your love for truth, for happiness, for freedom. So the practice of noticing awareness, noticing the screen, noticing the vastness, it's, let's say, close cousin to noticing the conditions that whenever they arise. I'm not saying that we're always resisting or seeking, but we often are. Noticing the whatever is arising as conditions in our experience, and noticing the awareness are close cousins, because one leads to the other. In other words, when you turn your attention to what is it, how is it that I'm perceiving? Am I perceiving in pure peace and bliss, or am I perceiving in personal desires and personal seeking? That very question is a question that arises from your love for truth, from awareness itself. And the end experience in both cases is that you come to the peace of being, peace of presence, the peace of awareness, the peace of your true nature. So I would not say that these two ideas, but again, I mean, that's just me speaking, but please feel free to continue to raise the question if it still is so for you. But I do not see that at face value these two ideas are at odds. They are close cousins. They are complementing each other. because whatever attention you give to thoughts and feelings is not just an attention into what thoughts and feelings are arising, but what is behind the scene. Because a thought arises, it may have in it a seeking or a resisting. I like or I hate. I prefer or I don't want this or I want this. And the same thing with the feelings. Feelings are often referring to, oh, how I love this, or oh, how I don't like it, how I don't like this. They refer to the I that is behind the scene. The I being this assumed personal self. And when you are looking and you're interested, not in just what is arising, but who is it arising to? And how come it is that specific thing that's arising, and you sort of peel the onion? Because when you peel the onion of thoughts and feelings, you keep peeling and peeling, and you find that inside of the onion there's nothing. That assumed me, that assumed person that you believe that you are, is nothing there. It's just pure awareness. The quest looking for the personal self will bring you empty handed. You will not find a personal self. And when you don't find a personal self, the next phase of your journey is to find the universality of self. I see your question, Isaac. Just want to just take a minute. Yes, Holly, please feel free if that question is not completely answered, we can meet. We're meeting on Saturday, I think. Yes. So the noticer, Holly, is not a personal noticer. When you turn your attention to the noticer, you won't find a limited personal noticer. You may find thoughts that say, oh yeah, there is a personal noticer, but these thoughts are arising to the noticer in chief, to awareness. And awareness is non-personal, like Jean Klein was saying up in your question, that it is a non-personal non-personal understanding. The person is just a thought and feeling structure that is like a mirage, like a cloud formation, while the reality of the self is like the sky, the infinite sky. Isaac, you're right. Surrender to what is that all about? Yes, I would say, Isaac, that surrendering to what is a very good sadhana. And relaxing into being. So I would say surrender to what is, but at the same time relax. It's not like a just surrender and then you are unhappy. But relax into being. Delight into being. Being meaning the I am. It's sort of like a falling back into the vastness and into the openness. Opening oneself to the openness. Opening oneself to the vastness of being. And to to argue with the world, with the body, with the mind is a forward contraction. So when we are arguing, we're we crouch, we close our fists, we frown. While when we're relaxing into being, it's more like flowing, dancing, like a birds flying. It's more cloud-like. So it's a surrender to what is, but it's a happy surrender. It's not an unhappy surrender. It's surrendering, recognizing that everything is given to you, everything is in your hands, it's God's grace. You're surrendering to God your whole being. I mean, that's a great surrender. I say, yeah, I am thou. I am at thou service. I am in thou hands, in thine hands. And I love thee. And you know what? I recognize you as being the Lord, the creator of all creation. You take care of gravity. You take care of the breath. You take care of the weather. You take care of the galaxies. What they say in Christianity, amen. So this sort of surrender is a beautiful surrender. It's like, yeah, absolutely. We worry so much, we contract so much, we think so much about our money, our life, our car, our friends, are we loved? When are we going to meet somebody? When are we going to get rid of our neighbor? Blah. So much. Come, take it. How about relaxing into being? Yeah. And what's really lovely, Isaac, is as we relax into being, the more we are happy. So it has its own fruit. It's like the more you walk in the orange orchard, the more you're smelling the perfume of the orange blossoms. You see, that's what's so lovely about this way of living your love, meaning love of consciousness, love of being, love of truth, not love of what I want, what my worries, my download, and him, and he has this, and he has more than that than him. No, what's going to happen to me tomorrow? Oh my God, my body, all of that is not relaxing into being. It is worrying and contracting into the mind. And when you contract into the mind and worry, you are unhappy, you're um, less less reachable. It's more difficult to interact. Uh, you you are closed to whatever is happening around you, because everything has to go through your conditions. Everything has to go through your conditions, and then you have more and more conditions, more and more, and it becomes so tight and so complicated, like a spider web. The more you're weaving and weaving and weaving uh, of the spider web. But our true nature is transparent beingness, is this borderless presence, effortless presence. It's God's gift. It's like God's voice, God's image. I think the Sufis say, wherever my eyes fall, I see God's face. It's such a gift of being, of presence, of creation and creativity. It's all available to us to experience and to rejoice and to celebrate and to share and to contemplate. Yes, it becomes more and more simple the more we are living in this openness, as this openness, more and more it becomes available to us. And the more and more we are living in the mind and the worry and so on, it seems that we're so lonely, we're so isolated, we're so uh, apart. It's the wrong direction. The correct direction is the direction of happiness in every moment of your life. So you of course you don't judge yourself, because if you judge yourself, that's unhappy. You don't judge others, because you judge others. That's also pretty unhappy. You don't talk bad things about others, because it's unhappy. You don't think bad things about yourself, because that's unhappy. So if you watch uh, how you are living, thinking, talking, walking, and you follow the path of the bliss, the path of happiness, it will lead you. Oh no, that's unhappy. Then you stop it. Oh, that's unhappy. You stop it. You say, oh well, what? I'm going to sit down and do nothing. Well, that very thought is unhappy. Then you let go of that thought. Oh, you mean I'm going to become like a stone? That very thought is unhappy. So I say, no, I'm not going to. I'm not. I see that thought. I let go of that thought. I just, and then you find that, in fact, you're very happy when you have no thoughts. If you look in deep sleep, we're not thinking that much, but we're very happy. I find, like, I am happy, I don't know, just like that. Okay, Isaac, beautiful to see you, Isaac. Yeah. Seeing you soon. I'm coming in March 2nd to Costa Rica, so looking forward to seeing you. Yes. I think I saw some question from Zoe, maybe. Oh, yes. Uh, okay. You sent me an email, Zoe. Let me see. Let me see if I can pull it up. Oh, yeah, here it is. Okay. No, I had not looked at it, Zoe, but I'm going to right now do that. Let's see. Okay. All right. So, Zoe. Okay. So let me see if I can paste it here, Zoe. Voila. Oh, okay. Okay, let me go up. Okay, so Zoe, I'm gonna read what you wrote. Hi, Magdi. I was just listening to Rupert Spira talk about vasanas as impressions. They have crystallized as they have been repeated over and over. And one of the ways to let them dissolve is when the tendency comes up to sit and experience the intensity of the impulse without fulfilling it or resisting it. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, let me continue reading. This week, what has come into my awareness are some specific memories of unkind things I did as a young child, the pre-teens years, particularly a memory of bullying another child. I remember the specific incident, and there was clear awareness that how I was acting was unkind and wrong. And at the same time, it was as if I couldn't stop myself. Rupert said, as you sit and experience this impulse without fulfilling or rejecting it, the impulse will weaken, and in time it will leave you. Okay? There were only a few specific instances that I did this behavior, but what made such a deep impression is the shock of recognizing that such evil was arising in me, or who I imagined myself to be at that time. I have been sitting and contemplating this vasana and recognizing that even though I am aware that this is not truly what I am, it is bubbling up very much in my awareness, and there is a sense of sadness and pain. Could you speak about this? Any suggestions? Thank you. First, what Rupert is speaking about is resting when there is any vasana that arises. It arises as thoughts and as sensations, as feelings. And to just be completely present, completely still, completely open to it. Let me just say, look at his very words. One is to let them dissolve, is when the tendency come up, to sit and experience the intensity of the impulse without fulfilling it or resisting it. Of course, Rupert has his own language. I have my own. But I recognize absolutely in what Rupert is saying a very clear teaching that whenever there is something that arises for you, to just simply be still and present, to experience it, to look at it, to invite it to be itself, to express itself. I wouldn't say use the word intensity, but it's shapes and shades, the shape and shade that it has. When we say intensity, then we sort of, oh my God, that's intense. It makes us contract a little bit, but we can also watch that contraction that arises. Watch it, meaning be present to whatever is arising. Be willing. Be saying yes to it. Saying yes, not yes, I'm going to suffer it, but yes, that it's there and that it's there to appear. It is arising to appear. I like to think of vasanas as arising in order to sort of dissolve into the space. And when they don't arise, they're still sitting there. But that's just a way of speaking about it. So vasanas arise and they're invited into the space. They arise as thoughts and sensations, as images, as and sensations, feelings that have in them certain thoughts. Oh, I was really bad. I committed I was not very kind. I was very judgmental. I was rude. I shouldn't have been rude, and it's a bad thing to be rude. All of these thoughts, images, and feelings, they arise, and they often refer to me as a person: bad Zoe, good Zoe, better Zoe, worst Zoe, etc. Worst person. They have that me in them. And we watch all of that. We, meaning I as consciousness, I as awareness, I as presence. As soon as you leave presence and then you become Zoe, then you have to fix Zoe, improve her, do repentance, burn a candle for somebody to forgive you, etc. All of that. But all of that realm is the illusionary realm of being a person. On the other hand, all of that can be dissolved. And in Christianity, they use the term forgiveness. Okay, can be forgiven. Although I don't use the term forgiveness because it assumes that there is a sinner and that there is somebody who's going to forgive you. There is no such thing. There is no such thing. It is all dissolved into the space. It all dissolves into the space. A volcanic eruption arises, Zoe, and Pompeii, killed the whole village, the whole city of Pompeii was killed. All the people, the children, the mothers, fathers, pregnant women, animals, everything was decimated in a second like that. So, who is guilty? Who is guilty? Who's guilty? Is God guilty, or is who's guilty? The volcano is guilty. So, you need to realize that as consciousness, there is no good and bad. Good and bad is a human download, is a belief structure, is the thought of me in time and space. Good me, bad me. He is good, she is bad. She is good, he is bad. They are good, those are bad. It's all mind. It's all mind. There is no good and bad. There is just truth or ignorance. Truth, reality, beingness is the formless self. Truth is the reality of consciousness. Truth is that there is no separation. There is no separate self. And ignorance, there is a me, a good me, a bad me, a better me. So coming back to your question, so there is no evil in you. There's no evil in you that arises in you. That is just thought. You didn't choose to do this action. Because bullying, you didn't choose. It arose to you. It arose to you. Ray, those words and those actions that you did, whenever you did them, they arose to you. You did not choose to, okay, let me be a bully now. But it was meant for you at that time to be the bully. And so you were. You were a very good bully. You did a perfect job at bullying. And the other person who was bullied was there to be bullied. And they did a perfect job. They got bullied and they got their feelings hurt. And it was right on. You were the great bully and they were the great bullied. You bullied them and felt good for a moment, then you felt like awful. And they were bullied and they felt upset at you and they lived for the next 50 years regretting and feeling the trauma because you bullied them, and you feeling the trauma because you were the bully. All that is just what was meant for you and for the other person. Right on. Perfect. Perfect. Now, one moment, Zoe, because there is a different screen that arises when you send oops, not this one. Okay, you say, thank you so much. I was feeling as if I chose to be a bully, just as you said. What you said exactly cleared it up. Okay, it's good. I'm glad, Zoe. So now is a perfect time for you to come to this understanding that it's all just as it's meant to be, all beautiful and perfect. And our journey takes us through being a bully and takes us through being bullied. That is part of our journey. It is just what it's meant. Some people's journey takes them to be imprisoned. Others' journey turns out that they're president of a large company, and then they have to experience all of that. But all our journeys have one goal, one direction, which is to come to the awakening of the self, to come to the transparency of being. And along your journey, Zoe, you are now in satsang, and you are in a deep contemplation of the self. And everything that has occurred to you in your life, everything that you did, contributed to this moment. So we are grateful for everything. Okay. Are there any other questions before? Okay. Okay. Well, thank you very much for your lovely company and your love and your friendship. We meet again. There may be a satsang this Sunday, earlier, so that people in Europe can. I'm not sure yet. I haven't scheduled that yet. Otherwise, of course, we meet next Thursday. And so, namaste to you all. Much love.
Namaste.
Okay. Thank you, Amanda.